The tallest duo in NBA history was when Manute Ball and Jorge Murason played on the same team, with a combined height of 15'2". And next season, we're about to see the shortest duo in NBA history. In league history, there's only been 9 players 5'8" or under, and the Memphis Grizzlies are about to have 2 of them on the same team at the same time. We all know about Yuki Kawamura, the 5'7" Japanese sensation who went viral last season for some of the most ridiculous passes you'll ever see.
Into the lane. Oh, what a pass to Jay Hines! Oh my! Look at the pass!
But having the shortest player in the NBA clearly isn't enough for Memphis, because they're about to sign another short guard, meaning they'll have the 2 shortest active players in the NBA on their team. And this isn't just for PR, there is actually a method to the madness. We already know about Yuki, but it's time you got to know about TJ Shorts, who at 175 centimeters is only 2 centimeters taller than Yuki and is currently America's shortest hooper at 5'8". He's broken all kind of European basketball records and is on the verge of completing one of the most unconventional paths to the league in NBA history. And yes, I know the player I'm talking about has just agreed to sign with another team in EuroLeague, but that doesn't mean he isn't coming to the NBA. He has an NBA out clause in his contract which can be activated at any time, and I'll tell you why I predict he will activate it. But speaking of predictions, thanks to today's sponsor, you can make some money off yours. Kalshi.com is the first and only legals predictions market that allows you to trade on sports and real life events. The NBA finals are about to start and everybody thinks the OKC Thunder are gonna win, which means if you believe in the Indiana Pacers, who have proven people wrong time and time again this season, you can make some serious money. And a $100 trade on the Indiana Pacers to win the championship would pay out $589. It's NBA basketball, you never know what can happen, but that's just my prediction and you can make yours too. And it's not just sports. Kalshi has trade markets on almost everything: politics, movies, crypto, music and more. They have over 1 million users in all 50 states and have facilitated over 2 billion trades. So if you want to try it out, Kalshi.com will give $10 to anyone who signs up using my link at Kalshi.com/DKM or my promo code DKM. That's Kalshi.com/DKM and promo code DKM. Check it out by clicking the link down below in the description before the playoffs finish. Growing up, TJ was a known baller in the California high school basketball scene, but scouts saw him more as a talented rec league hooper than a legit college basketball prospect, and he received 0 D1 offers.
I remember when I left high school, I was so in love with the fact of like, I want to reach a Division I school. I remember I told my parents, I'm either gonna get a Division I scholarship after these 2 years, or I'm just gonna stop playing basketball. That was like my mindset going in, so I really took that to heart and did everything I could to receive a scholarship.
TJ used this as motivation, and to this day he wears the number 0 jersey as a reminder to everyone that passed on him in college. After leaving high school, he played 2 years at JUCO college.
For all the junior college dudes out there and ladies, salute, because it's not easy. That was probably the most difficult time I had when it comes to basketball, when it comes to just life and figuring out what I wanted to do with myself.
Before finally getting a D1 opportunity at UC Davis. Shorts finished his college career there, but it seemed like a dead end. He was a decent upperclassman guard in the Big West Conference, but he wasn't somebody NBA teams would even think about, not even making the extended scouting lists ahead of the draft. So not only did he go undrafted, he had 0 chance of making a summer league team or getting a G League tryout. At this point, TJ would have been happy to just play basketball full time, and he left everything behind, moving to Latvia to make this happen. He was fresh out of college, 22 years old, and playing in the Estonian Latvian Basketball League, which isn't even in the top 10 ranked domestic leagues in Europe.
Nothing concrete, but I was just chasing my dream. I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know what pro basketball was overseas, none of that. I just kind of went.
TJ spent the next 3 years making his way up the European basketball ladder, and everything changed when he joined Telekom Bonn in Germany's top division in 2023. They were a middle of the pack team in the 5th best domestic basketball league in Europe, but that changed when TJ joined and met a man called Toumas Issalo, a coach who would change his entire life.
Brought me in there, obviously coach for the Grizzlies now, but he gave me the ultimate confidence, ultimate green light, ultimate just be you. And he set up a system to, I guess, kind of cater to my game. And I believed in it from the start.
Toumas Issalo created a system that changed European basketball. His teams play at a ridiculously high pace, and leading the charge was TJ Shorts, the fastest guard in European basketball. In their first season together, Bonn were in the Basketball Champions League. And to explain to American viewers, in Europe you have the domestic leagues, which is the country, but then you also have continental basketball for the teams that qualify. The Basketball Champions League is the third best continental tournament in Europe, behind EuroCup and EuroLeague. And if you're familiar with European football, it's the equivalent of the Conference League in comparison to the Europa and Champions League. Telecom Bonn had never won a European competition before, but this year they did, and TJ Shorts was the best player in the Champions League. He made Champions League first team, was MVP of the regular season, MVP of the Final Four, and won the championship. It was an incredible achievement for everyone involved, and that summer when Toumas Issalo became head coach of the Paris Basketball Project, the first thing he did was sign TJ Shorts.
But then he had this vision with Paris and taking them to the EuroLeague, and I said, what better way for me to get to the EuroLeague than with a coach that has the ultimate trust in me.
Paris Basketball was a new club founded in 2018, and the goal was simple: to create a European powerhouse in Paris, one of Europe's most popular cities and biggest markets. At the time, Paris were on the come up, but they'd still never won a major title, not domestically or on the European scale. They had, however, qualified for EuroCup, and together Toumas Issalo and TJ Shorts did the impossible again.
And for him to be able to bring me in to Paris, go through the EuroCup and do what we did, I'll be forever grateful for that.
They went 17-1 during the EuroCup regular season. TJ led the EuroCup in assists, was MVP of the regular season, and after defeating #1 draft pick Zachary Risacher in the EuroCup finals, he won the championship and finals MVP again. So in back-to-back years, in the third and second highest levels of European continental basketball, TJ Shorts swept regular season MVP, finals MVP, and won the championships. And that takes us up to the start of the 2024-25 season. Paris had qualified for EuroLeague for the first time ever, and usually when teams come from EuroCup to EuroLeague, they're the worst team in the league. It would be like a G League team coming up to the NBA. In the preseason projections, Paris were ranked 16th out of 18 EuroLeague teams, and they'd have to do it without their coach at the helm, because Toumas Issalo took his talents to the NBA and joined guess who? The Memphis Grizzlies in a lead assistant role. But he'd built such a strong system in Paris that things kept ticking along even without him. TJ Shorts was always his floor general and on-court coach, and he carried this legacy into this season, and Paris shocked the European basketball world again, defeating the EuroLeague champions Panathinaikos. They beat this season's #1 seed Olympiacos, and for a large part of the season they had the best record in all of EuroLeague. TJ Shorts in his first season playing in the second best basketball league on the planet was an MVP candidate. He made the all EuroLeague first team, was MVP of the play-in tournament. He led the EuroLeague in assists, and finished third in MVP voting behind only Sasha Vezenkov and Kendrick Nunn, who are widely considered to be the best two basketball players outside of the NBA right now. Now, whenever a European star comes to the NBA, people think they're not going to be able to adjust. I understand that this happens, but TJ Shorts might be different. So what I'm about to do is break down film of him matched up against former NBA players, and you'll be surprised at what you see here. Right here is Nikola Mirotic, a EuroLeague MVP who was a solid NBA starter. Watch how at the end of the shot clock, TJ resets to the top of the key, is able to shake him one-on-one and get his shot off with a hand in his face over a significantly taller defender, and somehow he made it. Here's Usman Garuba, a first-round pick who played 3 years in the NBA with the Rockets and Warriors. He was known as a defensive guy, but he couldn't stop TJ Shorts. Watch here, with time running out, TJ leaves him in the dust, turns the corner and floats it up at the buzzer with the soft touch from the elbow. This defender here is Omer Yurtseven, who just a few years ago was a part of the Heat's rotation during their finals run. Watch how effortlessly TJ is able to get to his spot and knock down the stop and pop pull-up jumper from the mid-range. Right here is Andre Roberson, who made an All-NBA defensive team in 2017. TJ is the smallest player on the floor, tasked with protecting the rim, but he gets up well vertically to deny the layup and then is first to react to the loose ball. And watch how quickly he goes coast to coast, explodes past Roberson, and see how he uses his body to cut off the defender from a recovering position, and then use that momentum to take it all the way to the cup and reverse it in. Right here we have two former NBA players guarding him. On the ball is Rodrigue Bobois, NBA champion with the Mavs and two-time EuroLeague champion with Anadolu Efes, and also Stanley Johnson, a lottery pick in the 2017 NBA draft. Watch how TJ one-on-one stuns Bobois with the hezi, sending him into the screen, shifts directions on the drive, and then with Johnson helping in the paint, he has the hang time to stay up there and finish off the glass with the double clutch reverse. Right here is Shabazz Napier, a first round pick who played with D Wade and Bosch on the 2014 Miami Heat. Handling the ball in the pick and roll, Shorts gets to his spot for his trademark pull-up jumper, but gets Napier to bite on the fake, draws the contact, and then flips up the and one for a circus shot over the two-time NCAA champion. I can already tell what you're thinking. He looks nice offensively, but what about his defense? Don't think just because TJ Shorts is undersized that he doesn't give his all on that side of the floor. This is Nico Mannion, a second round pick who played with Curry in the Warriors. He probably thinks matching up with a shorter defender in isolation is a mismatch, but watch how TJ stands his ground and with perfect timing is able to swat the shot away on the spin and recover possession for his team. Who remembers Marco Bellinelli, who played over a decade of NBA basketball, winning a title with the Spurs in 2014? Watch the defensive IQ of TJ Shorts here. He anticipates the pass, springs up like a pogo stick to intercept the ball, and races down the other end to score the easy layup. And that's just against former NBA guys, so can you imagine what he did to the rest of EuroLeague? Matter of fact, let's take a moment to watch some of his best stuff.
Largest lead in the game has been 15 for Paris at the start of the second quarter. 15-33 as TJ Shorts. Paris. Shorts using his body well. He's just so good.
Oh, beautiful pass from Shorts. How's about that?
Low, might take it on, no, sends it back instead. Shorts might have to go on his own here, takes the jumper and drops it beautifully.
While TJ Shorts didn't do the impossible again by three-peating all three major European competitions back to back to back, what he did do was nothing short of amazing. He proved himself to be one of the best players in the second best league in the world, and that is why the NBA has come calling. Only 3 years ago this would have felt like a pipe dream for TJ Shorts. When you look at his entire story as a 5'8 guard with 0 D1 offers, going undrafted, heading overseas at 22 years old to play low-level professional basketball, to now have the opportunity to fulfill his dream of playing in the NBA and sign a guaranteed contract is surely something he can't say no to. But this decision isn't as easy as you might think, because outside of the NBA it doesn't get much better than the situation TJ Shorts is in right now. Not only is he a basketball star, winning titles, collecting individual accolades while playing at the second highest level of the sport, he'd also make considerably more money staying in Europe than he would joining the NBA. The biggest names in Europe, Kendrick Nunn, Sasha Vezenkov, they make close to $5 million a year. The minimum in the NBA is $1.6 million, so it would be a considerable pay cut for what his next contract will be worth after the season he's had. And that next contract has already been agreed, because TJ Shorts has given his commitment to join Greek giants Panathinaikos, meaning that if he stays in Europe he'll play in green. But that doesn't mean he isn't coming to the NBA. Most of the top EuroLeague players, especially the American-born ones, have NBA out clauses in their contract, meaning that if an NBA team does come for them they can leave. So basically, if he doesn't go to the NBA, he's joining Panathinaikos, who after winning the EuroLeague Championship last season fell short in this year's Final Four. But adding TJ Shorts would turn them into a super team. They'd have an NBA level backcourt with Shorts and MVP Kendrick Nunn. Their sixth man Kostas Lukas was last year's Final Four MVP. Matej Lazor is arguably the best center in EuroLeague. And that's not all. They also have Cedi Osman, Omar Yurtseven, Juancho Hernan Gomez, Lorenzo Brown, Wenyen Gabriel and Geran Grant. All while being coached by Elgin Ataman, who Giannis Antetokounmpo described as one of the best coaches in the world. Panathinaikos next season will be an NBA team in EuroLeague. Maybe not a good NBA team, but their entire rotation is NBA level talent. And in terms of TJ Shorts' career in Europe, Panathinaikos is a great place for him to build upon the legacy he's creating. So it makes sense why he'd want to play there. But there is one important detail I've missed out. The NBA team that wants to sign him is the Memphis Grizzlies. And guess who just became the Grizzlies head coach, Toumas Issalo, the man who took TJ Shorts from a young hooper trying to make his way overseas to the pinnacle of European basketball. He scouted him in the lower leagues of Eastern Europe, brought him to Germany, won a title, brought him to France, and not even a month into his job as a head coach of an NBA team, he wants to bring his point guard back home to the States.
But the one thing is for sure, everybody here, me, you, all the teammates, assistants know, trust us, the ball needs to be in your hands. And as long as it's in your hands, we know you're going to make a good decision.
I'd be lying to say like I'm just a blind eye to what is obviously happening to his coaching career. Like everyone sees it. And obviously I know the successes I had with Coach Issalo in my 2 years with him. And like no one can break that bond that we had in our rise of Europe.
And that faith that Toumas Issalo has in TJ Shorts might be enough to tempt him to leave money on the table in Paris. Remember, TJ is American, he's from Cali, he's a 12-hour flight away from home right now. Growing up, he would have dreamed of playing in the NBA. His entire life he was told he was too small to ever make it. And while short-term financially he is better off staying where he is, if he believes in himself, in the long run a move to the NBA will pay off. Because if he was to establish himself within an NBA rotation on a playoff team and can earn a second contract beyond this first year, that superstar salary in EuroLeague will look like peanuts in comparison. And if there was ever a situation in the NBA where TJ Shorts could be successful, it would be in this Memphis Grizzlies offense. Issalo's fingerprints are already all over the team. In the 2023-24 season, the Memphis Grizzlies ranked 16th in pace. Last season they were number 1 in the entire NBA in pace, and the same applies for transition usage rate. In the 2023-24 season, the Grizzlies ranked 20th with a 16.4% rating. This season they led the league in this category with an insane 28.6% rating. Since Issalo arrived in Memphis, they've become the fastest team in the NBA, just like his teams in Germany and France were the fastest in Europe. Over the past few years, we've seen EuroLeague stars come to the NBA and fail to adjust. Vasily Micic and Sasha Vezenkov were EuroLeague MVPs but bench players in the NBA, but they didn't have the opportunity that Shorts has. He will be walking into a system that is made for him, by the same guy who has already made a system for him in 2 different places. The idea is for TJ Shorts to become the backup point guard, and when you consider Ja's injury history and the fact he's missed 38% of his NBA games since being drafted, it's very possible that TJ would have the opportunity to be the starting point guard in his absence. TJ Shorts is a pass-first guard. While he has been a 20-point per game scorer in EuroLeague and won some scoring titles, and he led the continent in assists with 7.3 per game last season. Bear in mind, EuroLeague games are shorter and they're way stricter with what they credit as an assist. In Memphis, TJ will have the luxury of being surrounded with athletes and weapons that weren't at his disposal in Paris. He has a 7'4" center who can score close to the basket. He has Jaren Jackson Jr. who went from a defensive guy to an elite two-way player. Jalen Wells is a great slasher who likes to cut backdoor and flush it down. Scottie Pippen Jr. is known for catching bodies, and Ja Morant might need to reconsider being done with dunking, because when he sees TJ Shorts running the fast break, he won't be able to resist getting up there with all the lob opportunities. The Grizzlies for the last 4 years have been on the verge of taking that next step. They were the 2nd seed in 2022, 2nd seed in 2023, and while they were the 8th seed this year, the West was so close from 2 to 8 that it doesn't really matter. They were still right there, but they haven't taken that next step in the postseason. For years they got a pass because they were a young team, but there's no denying they've stagnated. It's time for them to take that leap, and that's why they're switching it up. Toumas Issalo has won championships at every level he's ever coached, and betting against him is like betting against TJ Shorts. History tells us that isn't a good idea, and I know a lot of people, especially within the Asian demographic, are wondering what happens to Yuki. Why do you need 2 5'8" playmaking guards? Well, the Memphis Grizzlies seem to like having these unique players on their roster. They have the shortest player, the joint tallest player, and until recently they had the heaviest player too. If Yuki was on a 2-way contract, I'd be a little concerned, but the fact that he was given a guaranteed contract and is a restricted free agent this summer, and I think they have good reason to keep him around. His popularity on social media and the fact he's good friends with the franchise player certainly helps his case. And make no mistake about it, Yuki Kawamura showed some promising signs his rookie season. While the NBA numbers aren't spectacular due to lack of playing time, he had a very good season with the Memphis Hustle in the G League, averaging 12.4 points and 7.8 assists per game. He even played 28 minutes for the Grizzlies in the final game of the regular season and thrived within Issalo's system, with 12 points, 5 assists and 5 rebounds in a win over Dallas. jealous. We all know what Yuki can do as a playmaker. He's one of the most gifted passers in the league right now. And if the message of this video is not to count out the underdog, we shouldn't sleep on neither one of TJ Shorts and Yuki Kawamura. NBA Summer League is one to keep an eye on. I expect both Yuki and TJ Shorts to be there with the team in Vegas, and I think that's when we're going to see the Grizzlies experiment with the shortest backcourt in NBA history. And when it happens, we'll be covering it right here on the channel.
If you are watching this as another undersized guard, undersized lady guard, find a way to be great. Find a way to maximize your height. Find a way to, I don't know, just be successful whenever you're on the court. They will always find reasons for you not to be successful, but turn those reasons into successes. And for me, growing up, always being the smallest kid on the court, I've learned tricks, I've learned ways to score, learned ways to pass, use my speed, all different kinds of things. The struggles that you have early, embrace those, because as you get older in your career, you will learn how to maneuver around those struggles. And that's what I've been able to do, and hopefully you can too.
And if you've made it up to this point and enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and click the big box in the middle of your screen to go check out our last video on Yuki Kawamura, where we break down his crazy journey to the NBA in detail like nowhere else on the internet. And on that note, it's DKM signing out until next time, and peace.